We've had several challenges. We have had a lot of issues. 2 years ago, we were on the streets. And even last year, they were on the streets, the Gen Zs. I saw that during the prayer breakfast recently this week, there was apologies that were being made. The speaker and yourself, which is wonderful as a first step to reconciliation. But then there's the issue of people who are injured. Some people who died during that time.
Africa Connect News is your #1 news. We use credible sources, official statements, and verified online content for educational, analytical, and informational use. Accuracy is not guaranteed. Viewers should verify independently. We do not promote hate, violence, misinformation, or political unrest. Our aim is to offer context-rich insights, amplify local voices, and support informed dialogue in Africa and beyond. Viewer discretion advised.
You've had several challenges. We have had a lot of issues. 2 years ago, we were on the streets. And even last year, they were on the streets, the Gen Zs. I saw that during the prayer breakfast recently this week, there was apologies that were being made. The speaker and yourself, which is wonderful as a first step to reconciliation. But then there's the issue of people who are injured. Some people who died during that time. I want today to say that we should do compensation to families of those who died and those who are injured, so that we can have a closure to this chapter of our national history today. We want Kenyans to live in peace and in unity. Yothurwa. Unenogi wanenoni. Wija maber. Uroko welu. Amiadu wani yothura mondo riure kwa dhi nyime. Wange kumadwa dhi. Wange kumae, wange kumatimunadi. Kumadhi. Your Excellency, thank you very much. Long live Kenya. Asante.
In late May 2025, a wave of discontent swept across Kenya as thousands of young people took to the streets to protest the government's proposed Finance Bill 2024. This legislation sought to introduce a range of new taxes and levies on everyday essentials, including mobile money transactions, internet data, and even certain food items. Many young Kenyans, already burdened by high unemployment and a challenging economic environment, saw the bill as the latest in a series of moves by the government that disproportionately affected them. The movement that emerged was largely driven by Generation Z, Kenyans aged roughly between 18 and 28, who use social media platforms like X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram to mobilize, share information, and coordinate peaceful demonstrations. Unlike past protests often led by political parties, this was a grassroots, decentralized movement without a single leader or figurehead. Hashtags like #RejectFinanceBill 2024 and #GenZRevolution trended for days, drawing national and international attention. On May 28, 2025, the protests began in earnest, with demonstrators gathering in major cities including Nairobi, Kisumu, Mombasa, Nakuru, and Eldoret. Initially, the protests were largely peaceful. Young people carried placards, chanted slogans, and called on the government to withdraw the bill. They emphasized that the cost of living was already too high and that additional taxes would push many families into deeper poverty. However, tensions escalated quickly in some areas. In Nairobi, for example, protesters attempted to march towards parliament buildings and other government offices to deliver petitions. Police responded with a heavy presence, deploying tear gas, water cannons, and riot officers to block their progress. In some instances, protesters refused to disperse, and confrontations turned violent. Skirmishes broke out in areas like Nairobi's central business district and parts of Mathare, where crowds were met with a combination of tear gas and, tragically, live ammunition. Eyewitnesses and human rights observers reported that while some protesters threw stones, the majority remained peaceful. Despite this, security forces were accused of using excessive force to disperse the crowds. The Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights, KNCHR, documented several cases of young people being shot, some fatally, while others sustained injuries from beatings and tear gas canisters. By the evening of May 29th, reports began circulating that at least 10 young people, most of them in their teens and early 20s, had died in the chaos. Social media was flooded with images and videos showing distraught families, wounded protesters, and scenes of chaos in the streets. Hospital sources confirmed that dozens more had been treated for injuries ranging from bullet wounds to head injuries from rubber bullets and tear gas canisters. In response to the mounting pressure and international condemnation, President William Ruto addressed the nation on May 30th. He acknowledged the tragic loss of life, calling the events unfortunate and regrettable. He offered an apology to the families of those who had died and promised that a government inquiry would investigate the circumstances surrounding the fatalities. Ruto also defended the finance bill as a necessary measure to bridge Kenya's budget deficit and invest in essential infrastructure and services. Opposition leader Raila Odinga, however, was quick to criticize Ruto's response. Speaking at a press conference in Nairobi on June 1st, Odinga rejected the idea that an apology alone was sufficient. He emphasized that the government bore full responsibility for the deaths of the young protesters and must therefore compensate their families. An apology is not enough, Odinga said. The lives of our youth cannot be replaced by mere words. The government must compensate the families of those killed, and those responsible must be held accountable.
On June 25, 2024, the streets of Nairobi and the area around Parliament were filled with protest. Demonstrators clashed with police, eventually breaking into the National Assembly and setting part of it on fire. Some protesters lost their lives and others went missing. The protest forced President William Ruto to withdraw the 2024 finance bill. Protesters argued that the bill meant to raise taxes on food items, fuel and motor vehicles, will make life difficult as they continue to deal with the high cost of living.
It's a sad event because I think it's more the so-called Gen Zs who should be the ones best equipped to articulate an issue. But instead they decided to treat it the same way my age mates and those older than me would have done it, with limited information but a lot of aggression.
The Kenyan streets may be quiet and calmer these days, but the anger against the government hasn't gone away. Many feel very little is being done to fight bad governance and corruption, which is impacting the progress of the country and making life difficult for them.
Business is slow, people aren't buying, and we are struggling with our jobs. We hope better things next year and hope that President William Ruto will not be re-elected. We refuse that.
This year has been challenging, with no money and struggling businesses. We urge our leaders, especially President Ruto, to address our concerns and improve our situation.
Some were happy with their achievements.
My year was a great year. I actually finished my college. I was taking journalism and mass communication. I went for attachment, and I've finished my attachment a few days ago.
This year, the youth movement has shaped Kenya's political scene, but many hope 2025 will be a better year and that their government will listen to their cries and do something to improve their lives. Mohammed Yusuf, VOA News, Nairobi.
Today, the Kenya president on Madaraka Day's celebration just apologized the families of those who lost their and those who were severely hurt. But Raila Odinga said apology is not enough. President Ruto should compensate the families of those people. The youth of Africa are the future of the continent, and they need to hold their leaders accountable. We want to know your opinion in the comments section. Should the families receive compensation or the apology is enough?
That's all for now on Africa Connect News. Thank you for staying informed with us. For more updates, context-rich insights, and authentic African perspectives, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Until next time, stay connected, stay informed, and above all, stay proudly African. This is Africa Connect News.